the Ford Sports Extra post-game show.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to O'Connell's. Oklahoma, a big 49-3 victory over Iowa State. Lon Terrell alongside Brent Skarkey, the Sports Animal and Sports Extra, working together once again on another Ford post-game show.
Total domination by the Sooners, all facets of the game. Time to welcome in our friends from the Animal, Al Eschbach, Craig Humphreys, Jim Traber, and guys, start to finish, OU's a better ball club.
Well, I think all year long we've been saying Miami and everybody else. What OU's done the last 2 weeks, they're there with Miami now, I think. You guys agree or disagree with me?
I would agree.
No question about that. You hold Iowa State to 7 yards in the first half. That's a special defense.
It was a whole bunch of domination on the field defensively. The offensive line did a great job, and you got to give it up to them. And, you know, I don't know why we're surprised anymore, because Bob Stoops' teams always get better as the year goes along, and that's exactly what's happening right now.
That's the thing. The defense really gelling right now. They played so well last week, and then this week, holding Seneca Wallace, what was he, 3 of 21 through the air? I mean, just unbelievable.
The defense takes Seneca Wallace out of the Heisman Trophy race. It's on TV. Everyone sees it. Wallace out of the race, period.
Well, and in fairness, last week we ripped Nate Hibble. He played better,
right.
threw the ball better than Seneca Wallace all day long today.
In their first 2 touchdown drives, he had big passes in both those drives. Also give the special teams credit. They blocked the punt, set up the first touchdown. Also give Bob Stoops credit going for it on 4th and 1 on their first touchdown drive, which was the second TD.
It's real easy to get complacent in the second half when you're up 35-0. They allow the field goal, then another big turnover kind of turns the tide back to OU, keeps it a blowout.
They could have won this game 80-0 if they wanted to. I mean, it didn't matter after halftime. This game got ugly early, and you know, now they have a week off, and then they got Colorado coming in. I mean, they're in a really good position.
Let's talk about the play of Brandon Everidge. Obviously, we'll talk about him a little bit later on, maybe our Carl's Jr. star of the game.
Perhaps.
I don't know. But interceptions galore, hurries the quarterback, sacks the quarterback, breaks up long passes. I thought that's where he was key in a lot of situations.
Well, and when we get Mike Stoops over, he'll tell us, he says every time when Brandon Everidge plays well, the defense plays well.
And the special teams. We're looking at the punt block there. Special teams once again for OU. I think the stat was 13 touchdowns on special teams in the Bob Stoops era here at Oklahoma.
And Derek Strait blocked the punt. And again, Bob Stoops uses his best players on special teams. We saw it pay off again today.
What in the world was the guy from Iowa State doing? I think he might have been drinking before the game on this ball.
It's the whole eye-foot coordination thing he missed in
He was
preschool.
over here at O'Connell's with us before the game, I think.
But we were talking about the play of Brandon Everidge. I had him down for the first quarter, a long breakup, a sack of Seneca Wallace, had an interception of Seneca in the second, big tackle for a loss. And we're going to talk to Bob Stoops here in about 2 seconds about what he thought.
We're going to check in with Bob Stoops here in just a moment, his post-game news conference. I'm sure he's going to talk a lot about the play of Brandon Everidge. We saw him on the post-game with ABC. And here is Bob Stoops. He is now at the podium, and let's listen in.
But I like the way our defense prepared for it all week, and they did a nice job getting after it.
You got so many yards last week on the sprint, on the crap, and you run the aisle a lot today. I'm assuming there was obviously a reason for that.
Because it was working. You know, you run it 4 times and none of it works. You start trying something else. You know, everyone always, you know, I didn't know we'd run the draw that many times against Texas last week either. But it worked. Why would you stop? We were having success in the eye and running certain play lines. Why would we shorten it and we're going to run it until we see the second game? That was big, just to get, you know, it just creates energy, it gets excitement going. I felt it have learned and are gaining more experience as they go through the year at running it, getting more confidence in it. And you see different defenses, different twists, different games that you have to deal with. So there's more to it than just lining up and say, oh, you know, you should be able to do this. It takes time.
Bob, is there some sort of an extra challenge to your defense going up against a quarterback like Wallace based on what happened against Missouri?
Definitely. You know, they've heard all the criticism. They can't play quarterbacks like this, and you know, they didn't. They have a lot of pride, I think, and I know they didn't want to watch a whole weekend of highlights of a Heisman Trophy contender against them and seeing, you know, those kind of things. So they took it to heart, and they were ready.
Coach, was there a reason for not putting Paul Thompson in the game until the very last minute?
Just the handling of the ball and all. You see, and he ended up dropping one there late. When you haven't been doing it the entire game, you didn't want to get sloppy at the end, lose the ball, those kind of things. So, you know, we would have had it been a decent day, I'm sure. And not that he can't handle it, but again, if you've been doing it for 3 quarters and you're used to it, you didn't want to do something like that. We had a good attitude. I talked a lot about it. We understood in our scouting reports before, you know, that they were a good second-half team. They came back on Iowa, I think, down, 20-some points. They in the third quarter, with 3 minutes to go in the third quarter, they took the lead. And, you know, I knew they were an explosive, good football team that we knew going in, you know, so reminded them of that and said, let's keep our attitude for 2 more quarters and keep playing good football. And, you know, fortunately, we did. Kevon played well, ran well. He has a very good knack up in between the tackles of that straight-ahead power running game. He's really has a good feel for that. And he was solid in there today. No, it was strong, you know, just powerful. And it wasn't just Kevon was strong running and sees the hole nice, but our offensive line was and tight ends were really good. And fullbacks, JB kicking out. We were solid. And that's pleasing. 4th downs, we have a lot of confidence now in those short situations to go ahead and run it and feel good about where we're getting there.
The end of corner touchdown.
Yeah. I didn't, it was the rain, the sloppy field again, you know, that it just, I thought 3 points, you know, then you have to kick off. Who knows? You got field position. If we don't make it on 4th down, they still have the ball right down there at the 20 or 18, whatever it was. And it just, you know, I didn't want to take a chance of a blocked field goal, slipping, something going wrong. And so, you know, fortunately, as we threw it in the end zone, it worked. You know, up with that kind of lead, it just didn't seem to me they could make more happen than us just getting through.
The team that allows us to play so well against tough opponents week after week in this kind of setting.
I think the way they prepare, you know, what allows us to play, you know, with some consistency that way is I don't think we're ever too high or too low. You know, I don't think we don't point to just one game and go crazy about it and not the others. You know, we're always pretty, we're always pretty intense, but we're never overboard. We're never, I don't think we're ever down either. You know, that we're not ready to play. I think our players work at it. And the fact that they respect everyone that's
Game make you a better team this year? You come out of that game better?
Well, I think the season we have had a history of getting, you know, of usually, you know, growing as the season progresses. And we, you know, seem to catch that, you know, sort of catch that stride of, you know, around that Texas. And, you know, hopefully we can keep going. Okay.
Bob Stoops' comments following the OU win over Iowa State, 49-3. Unbelievable game for the Sooners. And some of his comments. He just talked about how the team is gelling right now.
Exactly, and the weather today was not good. It's raining, but still a ton of fans here at O'Connell's to celebrate this incredible win for Bob Stoops and the Sooners. Welcome back to Sports Animal, guys, and you heard Coach Stoops. No big surprise. He was confident they could win.
This is one of the most dominating defensive performances I've ever seen in Norman against a quality team.
Yeah, I mean, people can't say, I'm sorry, Craig, but people can't say now, well, Iowa State's not any good. They are good. They're a really good, solid ball club. OU dominated.
Iowa State's a very good offensive team, but defensively, I really don't think that Iowa State is a great football team. I don't think they're anywhere close to Texas. We were talking before the game. We said, could you name 2 Iowa State defensive players? And there's a reason that we couldn't. They're a decent defensive team. They're a very good offensive team, and OU's defense should be very proud because they shut down one of the best players in the country in Seneca Wallace. He's a good player.
That's right, 4 for 22, 60 total yards for Iowa State. It's the 4th lowest total in school history, and this team's had some pretty bad teams over the years.
It's the lowest in 58 years. And you think about it, Iowa State plays Nebraska in its heyday every year, and this is the 4th lowest since, 40-something?
And the coverage, you watch the coverage you've seen. I mean, it was great coverage all day long.
Everything. I mean, everything was great, Al. I mean, I thought every aspect of the defense played well. Their defensive line did exactly what we talked about in the pregame, about how you don't rush a guy like this all out. You kind of contain with the rush. They did that. There weren't a lot of sacks in the beginning of the game, but because they kept him there, they were covering defensively, and it was a beautiful job by the coaching staff and the players.
And we talked in the pregame about would OU use 5 defensive backs, and I think that was one of the keys, Craig. He just didn't have anyone open for most of the day.
And then they used 6 DBs a lot, too, in the third down. They didn't convert a third down, did they, all day long?
No.
I know late in the game they were 0 for 12, right?
Yeah.
Well,
they were having some problems.
They were number 1 in the country coming in, too, in third down conversions at 49%.
I think the biggest play of the ball game late in that second quarter, they have it 1st and goal from the 1
that's right.
after the turnover, and they lose yards.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they went from 7 yards of total offense to 4 yards of total offense because they lose 3 yards. Oklahoma breaks their back right there. Ball game's over going into the half.
Yeah, they try to run an option play, and you just can't run an option play against this Oklahoma defense. I mean, great speed by the Oklahoma defense. And also, for the Oklahoma offense, we said early in the year that one of the weaknesses of Oklahoma was that they couldn't make first downs. Today, by our count, late in the game, they had 26 first downs. They iced it in the second half with a 10-play drive and a 12-play drive. They were making first downs, just running the football.
You know, we wondered before the game how the weather might affect the game. Well, it really worked into the Sooners' hands with the game plan that they have, running the football, pounding it into the ISU line, and they really did a great job with it today.
They keep running the ball. I mean, it just right down people's throats, and they're going to be fine. There's no doubt about it.
Well, and it's the first time this year that they ran that jumbo set, not inside the 20 a lot of times. So that was something, again, that this coaching staff put in, and that might have surprised Iowa State somewhat.
Rushing numbers, you see Kewan right there, 25 of 86, 2 touchdowns. Griffin, 22 for 111, another 100-plus yard performance for Griffin, the guy that 3 weeks ago everyone said they should be playing somebody else.
Kenny Mossman, the SID announcement, said his numbers are probably good as correct, and they're talking about him for the Heisman. OU's ranked, Kenny Mossman, they're going to push Quinn Griffin for the Heisman Trophy.
His numbers really rank up there. He was 15th in the nation per game entering the game. You'd think that this will add to it.
Yeah, but Calera plays in the Big Ten, and we know how great a football conference that is.
Well, and also Nate Hibble. OU had a lot of drops today. I mean, Nate could have had a bigger day, but he had the big pass to Clayton, 22-yarder, in the first touchdown drive, had a 25-yarder to Peoples in the second touchdown drive. Third touchdown drive, Nate jumped on a fumble, to keep that drive alive. So Hibble had a nice day, could have been even better.
He did have some missed throws, but he didn't make a huge amount of mistakes like he did against Texas. He's learning. He's being a smarter quarterback, and I think that's what makes Oklahoma more dangerous than they were last year because Hibble's not going to make the mistake.
Also good to see him take some hits today and get up from them. He took a lot of hard hits.
Good to see him take some hits.
No, it wasn't good to see him take some hits. It was good to see him get up from the hits.
Lost his helmet one
What is
time.
this, like the guy or what?
It was great to see him getting up from some of those hits that he was staying down for a year ago. It's time to take a break. We got a lot more to come here on the Ford Post-Game Show. We're going to check out the highlights from the game. We got a lot more in store.
Yeah, we'll take a break, come back with all the first half fun after this.
Here comes Darren Frazee, blocked it into the end zone. Welcome back to the Ford postgame show. Ron Terrell alongside Brent Skarkey. OU with a 49-3 win today over Iowa State.
And it all started from that first turnover on the first possession.
That's
a
right.
huge play to get the Sooners rolling in this weather, and they just never looked back.
That's right, a wild play. Let's go ahead and check out some of the highlights from the first half in this one. And a little over a minute into the game, Tony Yelk on the punt. And this one's going to be blocked by Derek Strait. Now check this out. The ball spins in the end zone. The Iowa State player tries to kick it. Terrence Sims falls on it for a touchdown, and it's 7-0 Sooners.
Talk about that, Al. Is it alcohol-induced?
Well, this guy obviously played soccer in his life, and he wasn't a very good soccer player.
Later in the first, OU's second possession, Nate Hibble firing over the middle, hits Will Peoples for a 22-yard gain down to the Iowa State 14-yard line. Then Quentin Griffin had such a big game against Texas. He caps a 7-play, 53-yard drive with a 15-yard touchdown, dives in. That makes it 14-0 Oklahoma.
What a tremendous run that was right there.
Really was, that extra effort. And we were talking about him earlier. Brandon Everidge playing like a man possessed, like he usually does. Seneca Wallace fires the deep ball. Check out this play.
This was a huge play, too, because they had a little bit of room there, and Everett really made a great break on the ball and knocked it down. At 14-0, you never know what happens. Great play.
Somewhat reminiscent of Derek Strait in the Orange Bowl against Florida State.
Yeah, look at that. I mean, that's impressive.
Same type of play. Still 14-0. Third and long, safety blitz, and Mr. Everidge again drops Wallace for a 9-yard loss. Sooners up 14-0 after one.
Iowa State not ready for that kind of package at all.
No, they weren't. Second quarter, Q again, 4 yards for the touchdown. The running game doing the job again for the Sooners. And then, are you kidding me, more Brandon Everidge. Wallace, he was 4 for 22, had 3 INTs. Here he is picked off by Everidge. Sooner ball at their own 28-yard line. The offense then puts together a 13-play, 73-yard drive. Going to be capped by Kewan Jones as he flips into the end zone. Score now 28-0 Oklahoma. The Iowa State fans that are in attendance getting wet and trying to figure out what's going on. Moments later, Seneca Wallace going to be picked off once again, this time by Derek Strait. Tips it to himself. Now watch this. He's going to fumble the football on the return. Tommy Harris downfield there for the recovery, and the Sooners are in business again.
They actually got lucky on that one because it squirted out backwards of Tommy Harris, and from the replay, it looked the reverse angle that it was actually Iowa State ball.
Tommy Harris was not number 83 in white right there. He's underneath somewhere.
Here's another look at it. We'll actually get to see what happens right here. And there's Tommy, and
ball's out. Ball's out at that point. They got a break, period.
Well, good for them. They got the break then.
It didn't matter.
Few plays later, Kewan Jones again goes in from a yard out for his second touchdown of the game. 35-0. The Sooners running away with this one. Now, we also talked about this sequence coming up here at the end of the half, set up by this. Antonio Perkins making a few moves, trying to make something happen. Looks like he might have a little bit of daylight. Then he just loses the handle. The ball kicked back to the 1-yard line where Iowa State recovers. So finally, the Cyclones appear to have some kind of a scoring chance in this game. But ISU, they're not going to convert this one.
Perkins just trying to do too much right there. They had a big lead.
The wet pigskin
needs to go down.
Wallace incomplete on fourth down. Seneca 1 of 12 for 0 yards in the first half. 4 total yards for Iowa State in the first half. And it's 35-0 at the break. At that point, you know, you feel like you're watching something from a couple seasons ago.
Yeah, that was big league defense there, fellas. I mean, even though it's 35-0 at the time, you could see Mike Stoops and Venables and those guys down on the sideline saying, hey, I want a shutout here. And we were talking about it in the press box, Al. I mean, there was a chance they weren't going to score, and they didn't.
I tell you, and one of the great stats of the game, OU ran 90 offensive plays. Iowa State ran 45.
Hey, Al, you were saying maybe the best performance since Florida State. What do you think?
Defensively, yeah, maybe best overall performance against a quality team.
And they were talking about this on the telecast. Bob Stoops really developing a reputation as a risk taker. He goes for it on fourth down twice. Once he scores a touchdown when he only needed 6 yards. He goes for the end zone. think it was a 20-yard touchdown play.
Yeah.
And he gambles, he wins. His luck just keeps going and going.
Yeah, he went for it twice in the first quarter on first down. I guess another win over a top 10 team for Bob Stoops.
Hey, you know what also, fellas? Early in this game, they knew that they were going to dominate defensively. He could have gone for every fourth down. I think he had so much confidence, he just said, let's just keep going for it. And that's the right thing to do when you know you're dominating.
Good point. If OU can run the ball, that helps Nate so
Oh,
much.
if they run
yeah.
the ball,
No, so much.
if they run the ball, this team, they're going to be really tough to beat.
Well, that's the thing about this coaching staff. They seem to come up with something to stop every good opponent that they face. They're 31-2 in their last 33 games.
That's amazing.
That is absolutely incredible.
Hey, guys, what happens to Iowa State from here?
Well,
They
their
play
schedule.
Texas next week.
Yeah, I know.
It depends what happens to Texas tonight.
Their
very tough.
schedule down the stretch is so tough.
I initially,
So many road games.
preseason, I picked them third in the North. I picked Colorado, K-State, then Iowa State. I thought they would beat Nebraska, but their schedule is just nuts.
Right.
They
Brutal.
can't come out unscathed.
Yeah.
Got to go to Texas and then later to K-State and Colorado on the road.
Unbelievable. But you also have to figure those teams do not have the defense of Oklahoma.
No.
So they might
I don't
score
think
a few more
there's anyone
points
that
against us.
does.
I don't think there is either.
Let's talk about the offense for Oklahoma real quick. Will Peoples really stepping out as one of the best wide receivers on this team.
He's emerging as their best receiver. He's their big play guy now. Guy that was highly recruited coming out of high school.
It's good to see Clayton come back, have a big catch in the first touchdown drive. Also, Savage came back with a big catch later on today.
They played a lot of youngsters, too, didn't they, Adam?
Travis
Freshman?
Travis Wilson got a bunch of playing time. Brandon Jones got the sophomore, got the TD pass the second half.
We got a lot more to come here on the post-game show. We heard from Bob Stoops. We'll break down the second half highlights here in a little bit.
That's right. We got plenty more surprises. Anthony Fogel's going to join us here in a few minutes. Plenty to come on the Ford post-game show. Sooners win 49-3. We'll be right back from O'Connell.
Live.
And 11. And Quentin Griffin bounced outside. Touchdown. Quentin Griffin, another 100-yard game, another 2-touchdown game coming off that big game against the Texas Longhorns. You are watching the Ford post-game show. We're live from O'Connell's, WWLS, the Sports Animal, and Sports Extra bringing you complete post-game coverage.
Sooner total domination. Quentin Griffin shows his ability to stay on his feet so low to the ground. Let's take a look at the second half highlights, shall we?
That's right. Second half, they come out of the break. They're up 35-0 already at that point. The shutout broken in the early moments of the third. Adam Beneke boots a 28-yard field goal, and that is all the Clones could muster today. That pulled them to within 32. Yet even more Everidge here. 10 minutes left in the third. What a catch on the interception. Picks off Wallace. That's his second of the day. Gets the foot down. A great play for Everidge. Sooners get no points from that, though.
And that was big because there was 2 straight 3-and-outs by the Sooners. Iowa State went down, kicked a field goal, but that breaks everything up. Oklahoma back in the driver's seat. No Alabama in this one.
That's right. We mentioned Bob Stoops, the riverboat gambler, 4th and long, late in the third. Sooners going for it on 4th. Tibble with the pretty pass to Brandon Jones between 2 defenders. Touchdown, Oklahoma, 42-3 Sooners.
That was just up for grabs.
He's a guy, a great athlete, highly recruited kid out of Texarkana, sophomore, played some baseball.
More Sooner defense. Everidge on the pursuit. Shelby with the sack, a 4-yard loss. That was the way Wallace's day went. ISU still just 36 yards of offense after 3 quarters. Then in the fourth, the third OU running back to get in the end zone. Ronaldo Works goes in. That makes it 49-3, and that, my friends, is your final. 49-3, the Sooners with a big victory. Let's check out some stats in this one. Yards rushing, OU with huge edge in that one.
Yeah, I would say that they pretty much totally dominated.
Pretty much on both sides of the football. The 3 turnovers for Iowa State were interceptions by
Look
Seneca
at his
Wallace.
time of possession. That is
Hey,
huge.
That is huge.
Hey, I'll give you a number, guys. 54 carries by the OU I-backs, if you count the 3 by Works and Hickson. When was the last time, Al, that the OU tailback carried the ball 54 times?
Guy when BS was coach at OU. But remember, Bob said before the year he wanted a balanced offense.
And he got it. I mean, I got to look at the beginning of the game. I mean, OU had the field position advantage so big. It was so big for them. I mean, they kept Iowa State pinned down. They kept making them punt. And every time it seemed like Iowa State was trying to get out of a grade and try to get yardage. And then in the second half, when Iowa State kicked off and OU got pinned, well, they had 1 3-and-out, but then they came right back, and they started getting first downs, and they started changing that field position battle. It reminds me, I heard you talking earlier about Florida State, how, you know, the kicking game became so key in the win. And, I mean, point blank, OU is better than Iowa State today. You can't deny that. You can't say anything about it.
What gave you a clue?
But, well, the thing about it is the preparation. I mean, the coaches prepare so well, it's impossible to figure out how they can prepare so well against a team that basically has the same type of quarterback that Missouri had.
As we mentioned earlier, Anthony Fogel joining us, the former Sooner, and WWLS, the sports animal.
I thought one big coaching move was the way, especially in that first quarter, they do the quick snap to Quentin Griffin. That's coaching. That's coaching. You do it in practice. You practice it time and time again. They use it to perfection to get that touchdown.
They seem to do that a lot, too. They were trying to catch ISU's defense a little bit off kilter, and they did that a few times.
You know, one thing I got to think about, too, is a guy that's 5'10" in this cold of weather, and I know we talked about it already before, his hands have got to be cold trying to throw the ball. And I'm not going to try to make any excuses because OU was doing a lot of things coverage-wise that was giving those guys a lot of problems. But I wonder how much problems he really had throwing the ball.
I'm 5'7". My hands were cold.
Hey, you were in the press box.
Hey, come on.
We're seeing Quentin Griffin right there. And Quentin, we've talked to him after the game, and he had a huge game again, 111 yards. Here's Quentin. I guess we're not going to hear from Quentin.
I wouldn't say easy. Iowa State is a really good team. We had a good practice this whole week, and I think we executed a lot on both sides of the ball. So we played a pretty good game today.
What about the offensive line?
Offensive line, they been working so hard, and they had a great game dropping those guys off the ball. Pass protection, not pretty good, really good. Pretty good on in the run game also. So those guys, they really been executing a lot up front.
Do you think they expected y'all to go to the power I as much after y'all had run that sprint draw and trap so much last week?
I don't know. I don't know, like, if those guys expected that. That was kind of a change up on it, from last week. So it might have caught them off guard a little bit.
Your footing didn't seem to be a problem today.
To me, it did seem to be a problem. Yeah, just on a couple runs that if I could have kept my balance, I could have made a bigger play. But can't get those back right now.
How does this team feel going into the off week now?
We feel we're playing with a lot of confidence. We feel really good. This off week is going to help us recover our bodies and get back to work.
Now, earlier in the week, I had spoken to Chuck Long and Kevin Wilson, and they talked about how they wanted to get Quentin the ball in space against Texas, and that's exactly what they did. Give him some room to operate, and that's why he had the success against them. And today, again, another running attack. This time they just kind of took it right up the gut.
Right up the gut, then scooted out to the side, let him do his little tightrope stuff, makes a couple touchdowns, big game. They go into the off week. What do? Do you prepare full force for Colorado? Do you look to the future to A&M?
I can tell you what exactly they're going to do. They're going to give them off next weekend. 3 days off. They get off for the performance. They get to go home, watch some games, and no, because Colorado probably all you the games here probably maybe a better team, or them and A&M about the same. What do you guys think?
I think so. And, the one thing you got to think about is teams have got to beware, because when you go against a team and you line up in double tight and you run the ball straight at them, that's what you call taking the life out of a team. And when they did that in the second half, it just basically said, we're going to stuff the ball down your throat. You might think we're a finesse team, and that's probably what caught Iowa State off guard so much, is because they're used to them to running the draw play, trying to get outside. But then they start running right down their throat. They're not finesse now. They're showing teams that they're power, and that's something else you got to watch out for.
I'll tell you what, another thing they need to look out for is Colorado, because we mentioned the best time to play Colorado is first couple weeks of the season, because you catch them off guard, something happens to them early in the season, and they just do not function properly. And late in the season, last year we saw it. They played so well down the stretch, Big 12 championship game against Nebraska. They played well. So OU might be catching them at a time when they're playing their best football.
I will say, about the same time, they went down to Austin last year and got their butt kicked right back.
That's very true.
They did
they're
do that.
coming down to Norman this time,
Yeah.
and they're proving Norman is being a tough place to play the last couple of games.
But Colorado has a better offensive line maybe than OU's played this year, probably even better than Alabama. They assault you with the running game. Colorado's playing good football. Remember, they beat K-State. I mean, Colorado's going to have to lose 2 games to lose the North.
And they do
if
have
they
the
tie with K-State.
the nation's leading rusher in Chris Brown right now, who had 300-plus yards in last week's game. So,
Have they found a quarterback, though?
No.
That's what I
The
thought.
Hodges kid,
He threw 3 TDs, I think, in his last game.
Hey, they're a good team.
He's not bad.
That'll be a tough game. Colorado got some good players.
Well, they got a few tough games down the stretch. We're going
We'll
to take
talk
a
more about
timeout.
them, yeah.
That's right. We're going to talk about those coming up after this. You are watching the Ford post-game show live from O'Connell's. Ron Terrell, Brent Skarkey, the Sports Animal guys, Sports Extra, and the Sports Animal. We'll be right back. Yes, he got it. At the 46-yard line, it's Everidge again. And it seems like every time Wallace throws, number 7's in the way. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Norman, the Ford post-game show. Ron Terrell and Brent Skarkey, along with the Sports Animal guys. And you know what? Last week against Texas, we had tons of people behind us. What's the problem? Where is everybody?
Cold rain, period.
It's freezing.
I suppose you're correct.
Hey, we need jackets like those
That's
guys.
exactly right.
Yeah, I
So
like
Larry
the short
Bastida-
sleeve. The short sleeve look is
Yeah.
not going to get it done in
Larry
50 degrees.
Bastida, if you're out there listening, get us some jackets, okay? We're freezing up here.
They're not freezing in Stillwater.